Good day, viewers. Welcome to Fraction TV. Keep watching, keep learning. Hey, remember, when it starts, don't touch that dial. Also, please kindly click on the subscription button to stay updated and invite your friends.
Good day, viewers. Welcome to Fraction TV. Keep learning, keep watching. In today's video, I'll be introducing us to chemistry practical. But before I start, I would like to introduce myself. I'm Tutor Francis. Now, in today's video, I'll be talking about chemistry practical. But before I continue, there is need for me to explain some certain facts about chemistry. Chemistry in Waec level is actually divided into three sections. We have the theoretical aspect, we have the objective and the practical section. But in this particular video, we'll be concentrating more on the practical section. And chemistry practical is subdivided into three sections. We have the volumetric analysis, which is also known as the titration experiment. We have the qualitative analysis, which is also known as the SWOT analysis, and we have the general question. When we are talking about general question, the examiner will actually be testing on what? General aspect of what? Chemistry. But in today's video, I'll be giving rules and regulation. I'll be letting out some rules and regulation in order to get your full mark in your titration experiment. I will advise viewer to actually stick to these rules and regulation. Try and apply them because they are very necessary in order to get your full mark when it comes to titration experiment. In the titration experiment, there are some certain things the examiner is actually checking for when reporting your practical. Now, the examiner will not be there when you are performing your experiment, but what they want to see is your report. Now, when reporting your titration experiment, there are laid down rules and regulations. Number one, when reporting your experiment, number one, you indicate your choice of indicator use. Some students will ask me, or the viewer will be confused, why do we need to indicate our choice of indicator? Remember in chemistry, when we are talking about our titration experiment involve what? Acid and what? Base. And when you are mixing your acid and base, there are different types of what? Indicators. We have the methyl orange, we have the methyl red, we have the phenolphthalein, we have the what? Starch iodide. But when you are reporting your chemistry practical, it is very important you indicate your what? Indicator use for that particular what? Experiment in order for the examiner not to what? Assume. Indicator use will attract what? More mark. You must indicate the indicator use for the titration experiment. Number two, the volume of pipette used must also be what? Indicated. Now, we have two types of standard pipette. Some pipettes are calibrated in such a way that they can only measure what? 20 centimeter cube of the base, while some have 25 centimeter cube as their calibration. As a result of that, when you are reporting your practical, the volume of pipette used for that titration experiment should be recorded. Now, in this video, I'll be teaching you guys how to report your titration experiment. Now, before we start, there are some certain things the examiner is actually looking out for. Number one, when reporting your titration experiment, indicator use must be indicated. You indicate your indicator use. Look at the example on the board. Indicator use for this particular titration experiment happens to be methyl red. After indicating the indicator use, the next step is to indicate the volume of pipette used for what? Sucking the base. Now, the volume of pipette used is what? 25.0 centimeter cube. After that, you move straight to draw your table. Now, when drawing your table, the following must be observed. Number one, you must indicate the unit of the burette reading. Burette reading should be in centimeter cube. You must indicate the unit of the final burette reading. You must also indicate the unit of the initial burette reading. The unit of the volume of acid used should also be what? Indicated. When reporting your experiment, all values must be in two decimal places. Failure to do that will attract minus half mark. Number two, when reporting your values should not be shaded or cancelled. Shading or cancellation of values will result in the deduction of what? Minus half mark. When preparing your table should not be cancelled. Cancellation of table will lead to the deduction of 6 marks. Automatically, when you are reporting your titration experiment, the following must be observed. Indicator use must be indicated, volume of pipette must be indicated, your table must be what? Well represented. It must be neatly what? Represented. Because when you are reporting your table, what the examiner is actually looking for is the what? Neatness of what? Work. They are looking at how neat your work is. How neat is your representation of data? And that is what the examiner is actually what? Checking out for. Now, after getting your results, the next thing you will do is to calculate your average titral value. But before you calculate your average titral value, you must check the reading if they are what? Consistent. You must check the reading if they are what? Consistent. When is a reading said to be consistent? A reading is said to be consistent if the difference between them is less or equals to a 0.20. A reading is said to be consistent when the difference between two values is less or equals to what? 0.20. Now, before I continue, I would like to show you how I got my volume of acid use. Volume of acid use is gotten from the difference between the final and the initial reading. Final minus initial reading will give us the what? Volume of what? Acid use. Now, in this particular video, I'll be showing you how to get your consistent value. In this, the first titral value here happens to be 25.30. The second titral value happens to be 25.50. And the third titral value happens to be 25.90. Looking at these values carefully, we will notice that the first and the second happens to be consistent. Why? Because the difference between them is less, the difference between them is equal to what? 0.20. When the difference between them is equal to 0.20 or less than 0.20, you will say such value are what? Consistent. But when you look at the second and the third, the difference between them happens to be greater than 0.20. That is why it is not what? Consistent. Now, the next thing I will do is to actually calculate my average titral value. For me to calculate my average titral value, I will indicate the first titral value and the third titral value happens to be consistent. And when we are looking for average, since we are dividing two values, it will be first plus third divided by what? 2. After that, we will get our what? Average titral value. In this particular video, I will not be performing the titration experiment. I'm only trying to give basic rules that the examiner is actually interested in. Now, when grading, indicator use will be awarded with 1 mark. Once you indicate your indicator use, 1 mark. The candidate is entitled to 1 mark. Volume of pipette use, the candidate is also entitled to another 1 mark. Now, once your table is well presented, no cancellation, your values are in 2 decimal places, you are entitled to what? 6 marks. Now, the next thing, once you have the titral value, once you indicate that the first and the third, I did not just go straight. I indicated that it was the first and the third titral value I'm using for my calculation. You are entitled to 1 mark for writing that. Now, the next thing, after calculating, remember to put your average titral value too in 2 decimal places. After getting your answer, you'll be entitled to what? 1 mark. Now, in your next exam, I'm expecting you to represent your table in this format. Number 1, indicator use must be indicated, volume of pipette well written, your titral value neatly represented, your average titral value, and the next one, the answer to the average titral value should be in 2 decimal places. In the next video, I'll be performing a titration experiment using the Waec specimen. I'll be performing a titration experiment using the Waec specimen. Kindly click on the subscription button and keep learning.